Hi, hello, and welcome. I am definitely not Vlad, and you're watching me pug my way to 2.8k rating. Today we're going to try and make some gold in a very unconventional way. At least not seen anyone talk about making gold this way. Probably because it doesn't work. We're going to find out today. But before I do any of that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and get my Ashes of Alar for this week. And once we're done with both the Ashes of Alar and the gold making thing, I'm going to do at least one Mythic Plus dungeon. Time for my weekly crack at Ashes of Alar. I'm gonna quickly swap my talents to make sure I have feline swiftness, move around a little bit quicker while I'm in here. Ironically, the Ashes of Alar don't actually drop from Alar. You have to kill, what's his face? Kalthas Sunstrider. Man, he really just doesn't shut the hell up, does he? Come on, give me the mount. Aw, no such luck. Oh well, maybe next week. Editing Vlad here. If you don't give a fuck about my gold making adventure, you can just skip to this timestamp. This timestamp? The timestamp on your screen right now. I'm sick and tired of doing Mythic Plus. I'm gonna do the true endgame of World of Warcraft, which is clearly archaeology. I am, of course, joking. The reason I'm doing archaeology, actually, is gold. And you might be wondering, how the hell does archaeology make you any gold? Well, my friend, let me show you. It's by collecting as many of these filler ingredients as you possibly can. Now, this one's a poor example, and let me show you what they do. Basically, you're missing some of these fragments to complete your artifact. So you add one of these filler ingredients and you get some fragments, and then you can finish your artifact. This one is a very poor example because it was only really selling for about, what was it, 60 gold or something like that, and the actual market value is about 20 gold. You're probably wondering, okay, if these don't make you any money, why the hell are you farming these? Well, I'm not farming these. What I'm actually farming is a bunch of experience because I need to, or well, not experience, but skill in archaeology because I need to get to 525, I think, or something like that, skill in archaeology before I can make use of my master plan. The reason Legion is the best place to level is because all of the archaeology zones are going to drop in the same zone. So it's always going to be High Mountain, or it's always going to be Suramar, or it's always going to be Wal Shara. So you don't have to fly very far to get to the next dig site to get more skill. I'm now going to skip to the point in time where I'm done with leveling up my archaeology, and we get to Mists of Pandaria and we deal with the lore walkers. I'll explain why we're going there in a second. Alrighty, so we've gotten 600 archaeology skill, which is what you actually need to be able to buy Tol'vir fragments, which is what we're going to be doing. But before I get to that point, I need to get lore walkers to exalted. So lore walkers are a little bit specific where you have to actually find, you don't grind rep through quests or anything. You have to actually find these little scrolls that glow like this, interact with them, and so you get achievement progress. And then when you finish each of these achievements, each of these stories or whatever, you get something mailed to you in the mailbox. And the item in the mailbox is a quest item, or rather it starts a quest. Once you turn that quest in, you get thingy thing with the stuffy stuff. You get rep with the lore walkers. Just gonna set the lore walkers to show as my experience bar. We're gonna have it down here and we'll try and get that done as quickly as possible. Who the hell is this guy fighting is what I'm trying to figure out right now. Here we go. Those are all the achievements. Now in our mailbox, we have a bunch of unread mail from Lorewalker Cho. We're going to pick up those quests, and we're going to use the items. Oh, we're going to pick up those items, but we're going to use those quest items to get ourselves to Exalted with the Lorewalkers, because right now we're only at Honored, and we got that rep from just finding all these items out in the world. We made our way to a mailbox, and here you can see all the Lorewalker Cho mail that we've gotten. It's just a bunch of items that begin quests. I'm going to go ahead and accept each and every one of these. Now for each of them that you turn in, he's going to give you like a little presentation. So this is actually going to take quite a while to actually turn in all the quests. So while he does his little disco show presentation thing, I'm going to show you why exactly we even bothered to get lore walkers to Exalted. It's because if we go over here, we can buy Manted Artifact Hunter's Kit. So the way the Manted Artifact Hunter's Kit works is basically it gives you two items. One of them makes sure that every time you get a new dig site, the dig site is a manted dig site. And the other item is Lore Walker's Map, which you can buy individually. And what it does is it resets and randomizes all of your archaeology dig sites in Pandaria. If you put those two together, what basically happens is all of the dig sites in Pandaria get reset and assigned to manted ones. And that way you can guarantee that all of your dig sites are manted ones. Why do we want them all to be manted ones is because they are the absolute fastest to solve their artifacts for, and that way you can farm a crap ton of restored artifacts. Here you can also see that you can use a crate of restored artifacts to buy a crate of other archaeology fragments, and we're going to be targeting Tol'vir ones. So from leveling, I already have 52 restored artifacts. So I'm just going to buy, I'm actually going to use the TSM UI here, because with the TSM UI you can immediately just right click these. If you use the regular, I'm going to show you. If you use the regular UI, it's going to ask you every single time if you want to buy these, and doing this 52 times, no thank you. So I'm going to switch to TSM4 UI, and I'm going to just right click these as many times as I can and get a bunch of these crates. I just realized I made a mistake. I should have left 2 restored artifacts so that I can actually buy the Mantid Artifact Hunter kit. Oh well, I'll go get 2 other artifacts. Let me now start opening the Tol'vir archaeology fragments. We're just going to open up all of these, and now we can actually solve Tol'vir artifacts. We don't really care about solving the Tol'vir artifacts. What we really want is these, the Tol'vir hieroglyphics that you can get from the archaeology fragments crates. From what you can see, the minimum buyout right now is at 4,000 gold, and the market value sits at about almost 5,000 gold. This, if it sells, could solve my gold problem very, very quickly. Now we also stumbled onto what exactly is so expensive about what makes the Tol'vir hieroglyphics so expensive. Because people want to solve Tol'vir artifacts to get canopic jars. And why do they want canopic jars? Canopic jars are the only way to get the recipe for Vial of the Sands. Vial of the Sands actually lets you turn into a drake. It's an alchemy crafted mount. I think it's the only mount you can craft with alchemy. And it's actually really, really cool, but that's not what I want. What I want is the Tol'vir hieroglyphics that other people want to try and get their canopic jars, to try and get their Vial of the Sands. Okay, so from 52 artifacts that we farmed, we got 4 Tol'vir hieroglyphics, and 4 of those sell for 16,000 gold, give or take. Do take into consideration that I still don't know if these actually regularly sell. I would hope they do, but I don't know for guaranteed. So what I'm basically saying is this is all just a giant risk. I might have wasted a bunch of my time and I might not get any gold out of this because maybe nobody really wants to buy these, but I have a feeling that people might just buy them anyway. Sweet baby Jesus, this took forever. Oh my god, there's 2 more. Ah, Jesus, I thought it was just 1 more. Please let me turn this. There is 1 more quest to turn in, and that is going to get me exalted with the lore walkers. There we go. Oh, it's my first actual exalted reputation, so I got somebody likes me. Now, if I wasn't a dumbass, and if I haven't used all of my restored artifacts, I'd be able to buy the Mantid Artifacts Hunter's kit. But my dumbass did do that, so now I need to go back to Dalaran, and then back over to High Mountain, restore 2 artifacts, and then get to grinding the Mantid Artifacts. And we're back in business. We got 2 restored artifacts. Let's head back to Pandaria, buy the Mantid Artifact Hunter's kit, and get to work. I think I'm going to farm for another hour or 2 and then just see if any of the Tol'vir hieroglyphics I get from all this actually sell. Absolutely everything I've gotten today sells. I should be sitting at about 30,000 gold, 40,000 gold, something like that. And let's say 35,000 gold. Ooh, so the price is even better than TSM was telling me. I can make 30,000 gold just off of the Tol'vir hieroglyphics. That's very nice. And we can make 8,000 off of the Mantid Amber Sliver. I'll take that as well. So from one of the Etten guys in High Mountain, I got this thing that sells for 4,000 gold supposedly. I have a feeling that this doesn't sell ever, but I'll just slap it on the auction house and hope for the best. Which is coincidentally my strategy for every other thing that I put up on the auction house right now. So now we're just going to sit here and hope for the best. But instead of just sitting here, I'm actually going to do some Mythic Plus. Okie dokie, we're getting ready to start a Underrot 13. The group we have seems to be competent. Everyone agreed to do what they can to take care of the afflicted, so that should make things quite easy. Gonna give people movement speed, get people moving. Gonna stay in range of the maggot so I can interrupt it once it starts casting. Right now, there we go. Gonna keep an eye out on the Blood Priest. Make sure I interrupt the Gift of Gahun as well as the Dark Reconstitution. I failed to interrupt it. That's unfortunate. Because it had the speed. Okay, that was the Dark Reconstitution was interrupted. We don't actually have a way of removing magic effects, so we're just going to have to wait for it to time out, which is unfortunate. Oh, everyone removed it before I could even cast mine. That's amazing. I'd love to see it. Very good. People are blasting the DPS as well, so this should be a very, very quick run. Orcskin here, just blast these guys, focus the Blood Priest again, try and kick this time actually try and kick the Gift of Gahun. There it is, kicked it. Hopefully somebody else gets the other thing. If not, I'll just use my incapacitating roar for it, but it's dead before it could even happen, so we're just gonna remove one of these bad boys and get the hell out of here. Oops, I gave people movement speed. These are carryable into this group. I'm going to pop all my shit here. Should have probably popped it right at the beginning of the dungeon, but it doesn't matter. Gonna interrupt the harrowing. Find it more important than interrupting the blood priest. Blood priest I can still interrupt with incapacitating roar. I failed to do that, so now we have 20 seconds that we have to wait for the blood priest to die. Unless we have a blood elf in the group, but I don't think we do. Gonna incapacitating roar that darker constitution, otherwise we're gonna be waiting even longer. 7 more seconds until the blood priest dies. The reason I know that is because right here I see the buff up on the guy. So okay, and we're ready for the first boss. Now here I hope we bloodlust. Let's see if we bloodlust. Evoker. There we go. Maybe he does. Okay, he remembered he has the button. He might be new to the class. I know that when I tried like mage and stuff like that, and classes that had the bloodlust available, I just didn't use it because I forget that I have the button. I'm so used to other people doing it for me. Make sure I keep these guys stacked so we can cleave down the other guy. It's a weird interaction happened there where this was pulled back. I think it was because of Ursol's vortex that the other druid used. I'm not 100% sure. Maybe I'll check the WOD, but at any rate, the blood effigy moved like it was gonna charge over to another spot, and then it got yoinked back. Oof. Going to quickly res the guy. Okay, the other druid's gonna do that, so I'm gonna run ahead. I think Coloros got caught with his pants down because he was looking at the whatchamacallits, at the boss or at the afflicted to try and remove it, and then he got hit by something. I'm gonna go ahead and grab that blood swarmer. Grab a whole bunch of trash here, actually. Yep. Soon I'll have my incarnation ready, and I can use that. Okay, we also have a bunch of maggots being pulled. I'm gonna pop survival instincts and some of my thingy thing. I'm gonna knock things back so that the maggot doesn't kill us. We have a lot of extra shit being pulled, body pulled from behind me. I have our incarnation running out, so I'm not worried about me dying. I'm more worried about my team dying. I don't have any CC available for the maggot, so hopefully people move out of it. Sonic Screech actually probably just hurt us quite a bit, but it seems like the group is a bit overgeared for the content, so it doesn't really matter too much. I don't have a way to interrupt the maggot. My thing just came off cooldown. I'm going to interrupt that, make sure nobody gets the disease. That stuns him for 25 seconds, because that would kind of suck. Okay, there we go. We can go next. We're going to pull just about everything other than the next maggot, because I only want one maggot per group. I'm going to knock it back. I don't want anyone getting hit by that. I'm not taking care of my health bar, so I'm dropping quite low. Fix that here in a second. I'm going to interrupt that with incapacitating roar. Another knockback happened from the other druid. That's quite good. I can count on the other druid doing some CC as well. I managed to use my disease removal, or poison and curse removal is what druids have, my bad. Yeah, I used that on one of the afflicted. And finishing off this trash. Okay, we're gonna grab this maggot, and we're gonna grab the blood swarmer. I do not want more than one maggot or one blood swarmer in a group. People have moved out of the way of the maggot, that's good. I'm gonna keep moving this group. Fuck it, I'll grab another blood swarmer. We seem to be just mauling everything, so it doesn't matter. We'll kill these 3 and then I'll move on to the next group. I think this is fine for now. Interrupting that. Incapacitating roar for that. Finish these guys off, and then we'll move on to the next group, the last one before the boss. The DPS is so high that I don't feel like I need Bloodlust for this boss, so I'm just gonna pull this instead of going 3rd boss and then coming back and whatnot. I don't feel like doing all that business, all that nonsense. Okay, we got that. I'm gonna use Bark Skin and Rage of the Sleeper here. I'm gonna knock this back so that this doesn't go off, and I'll interrupt that. Somebody's gonna get hit by the disease. It seems to be the druid. Incapacitating roar for the maggot here. I'm going to root this with my charge so that it can't follow people around. I don't have anything for the maggot now, but it seems like it'll die before it matters. I'm going to get that one in the back. The afflicted in the back, I mean. I'm going to interrupt that. Screech. And very good. Mana then pull. Bait to cage. Rib cage. Okay, mana is going up. I'm not going to say the bait the cage because everyone's already positioned in a way that they're baiting the cage. He says he's ready. Let's get going. Okay, I'm going to pop everything and try to get as much damage as possible done here in this. Not everything, but quite a bit. The druid's kind of lazy. Okay, now we have the frontal cone going off. I'll grab this thing on the left. There we go. Okay, I'm just going to quickly grab everything so that the DPS don't have to move as much. Maybe the melee has to, but I don't care. Melee can move and keep DPSing because they don't have any casts, obviously. There's a charge. One of the melee was mispositioned, but it doesn't matter too much because we're going to get into the intermission part now where the boss moves around a whole bunch anyway. So we're going to try and move to the center. The reason I'm moving to the center is because the boss tries to get to the center of the room when he goes into this intermission phase anyway. So it will actually reduce the amount of maggots being sprayed around a whole bunch if you go and move him to the center of the room to pre-position for that. Here's a charge. I'm going to try and position him in such a way that people can kind of bait the charge over to the ribs again, but people seem to be just busy standing right behind the boss instead of standing to the position where they need to bait. That's okay. Most people are not used to having to deal with the intermission, or rather, they're not used to pre-positioning the charge or baiting the charge. Sorry, I'm fumbling over my words, but they're not used to baiting the charge after the intermission period. We're gonna finish off the boss before we have to deal with anything else, and that was good. I'm glad we went for it instead of having to wait for the bloodlust and then run back and forth. We're going to take a look at the death speaker and make sure that we hit him. Proctor, hit him with an interrupt is what I meant. Here comes the cast. There it is. Okay, we got rid of both of the afflicted without me having to do anything. I love the feeling of that. I love the fact that I didn't have to cast anything, so I could just focus on the kicks that I wanted to do. It's quite good. I'm not going to use a kick right now. One Void Spit is fine. Dark Echoes got interrupted, but the mob was dead before it even mattered. And give people movement speed, move on to the next group. This group is blasting the DPS like we're not even close to having to think about DPS. They're all the way in the back. They both got taken care of even though they were all the way in the back. I still love that. Here it's really just important to interrupt the Fallen Death Speaker. You can also mass dispel or individually dispel the reanimated Guardians because they put a shield on themselves. You can also save the mass dispel for the other thing that the Death Speaker casts, which is like an AoE dot, which does quite a bit of damage. So you probably want to save your mass dispel for that and the shields together, but prioritize the AoE dot. I'm going to get rid of one of the afflicted. I don't care about the shadow bolts. What I care about is the curse. I'm going to interrupt the curse. Hopefully someone gets this. Not beautiful. Thank you, Druid. Interrupting those curses is much more important than the shadow bolts. They're both important, especially in high level keys, because the shadow bolts hurt in and of their own. They just by themselves, they really hurt. But what the curse does is it reduces your damage done by 10% per stack, and it stacks up to 5 times per cast, I believe. And it also increases your damage taken from shadow by 10% per stack, so it's pretty brutal. Here we have a paladin, so the paladin can actually bubble run through a bunch of these. I'm going to shockwave this group of mushrooms like so. Very good. I'm going to eat these 2 mushrooms. I'm going to try and shockwave this group next. Onyx is taking that over to there. That's perfect. This is exactly what you're supposed to do. I'm standing in some of these. We didn't get our... Here's the second shockwave. Very nice. Gonna eat a couple more of these, and I'll eat this. Okay, Incarnation. Unfortunately moved it out of Death and Decay. I'm gonna move it back into Death and Decay. There is no next Shockwave. We took care of all of them. I'm just going to quickly grab this one as well. There we go, and now we have the big AoE going off at the same time as the mushrooms. We gotta make sure we don't get hit by any spores. There we go. The reason I want to make sure to get rid of all the mushrooms is because the festering rot explosion thing, whatever the hell it is that he just cast, it actually makes the mushrooms explode as well, and then the more mushrooms you have up, the more damage that AoE is going to do to you. So if you have too many mushrooms up, it's basically just a group wipe. And on high level tyrannical keys, you basically, if you have any mushrooms up, you're pretty much dead. Okay. The reason why it's such a pain in the ass, the first set of mushrooms, you actually have to eat some of them yourself. Unless you have absolutely perfect positioning and everything, you kind of need to eat some of those mushrooms yourself and just tank them with your face. The reason being because I interrupted that curse, that worked out. I'm going to... Okay. A lot happened at the same time, so I shut up. But the reason being why you want to eat some of them is because you don't get a second shockwave. Or what was it? You either don't get second upheaval or second shockwave on the first set of mushrooms, so you have to take some out yourself, right? Because the boss is not giving you multiple avenues to destroy some of them. And then the second time around, it's a lot easier. Third time around, usually the boss isn't alive anymore. You've unalived him. Okay. I'm looking at the Death Speaker. I'm gonna get this one in the back. I'm gonna AoE CC here. Interrupt the Death Speaker. I don't have any other ways to CC the next Dark Echoes, but hopefully someone takes care of it. My global wasn't ready, so I couldn't AoE CC the grotesque horror. Although what I could have done was just use my interrupt on the grotesque horror instead of the Death Speaker, because the Death Speaker wasn't casting yet. So I probably could have saved that. Okay, those got removed immediately. Hopefully people don't get hit by the Faceless Corruptor. So what happens here is you focus the grotesque horror because it's casting. And for the Corruptor, he casts two things. One of them is Tentacles, and the other thing is this frontal cone that he just did. The frontal cone, if you get hit by it, it's a very thin line actually, but if you get hit by it, you get feared. And usually if you get feared by that, what happens is you will run into another group of mobs or something. Ideally you want to bait it as melee, you want to bait it away from the range, so the range don't have to think about it if it goes on you. But everyone should be paying attention as to where that's being pointed and where the boss is casting it. This is actually probably the hardest pull in the whole dungeon, in my opinion, because there's two of these guys and there's a lot to pay attention to. I'm going to shut up now and focus. I'm going to interrupt that. I'm going to battle res our DK so we can keep going through this. Looking for our evoker. Trying to heal him with my AoE thingy, but I mistimed it, so I'm not going to get any sort of healing on him. DK got hit by the frontal, so he got feared, but the evoker immediately dispelled him, which is wonderful. And that's it. That should be dead. We have overkill on the percent, but that's because somebody body pulled the ticks that are here after the first boss that you can just kind of avoid by walking around them. We accidentally body pulled. Well, somebody accidentally body pulled those. Well, let's see if people know how to stack on this boss. What you're supposed to do is bait the Wild Expulsion to go off in the direction where there's already zones on the floor. Okay. Bloodlust. Okay, we have Bloodlust going. I didn't even have to say anything. That's beautiful. Okay, the Evoker's kind of baiting it to the wrong side, but it worked out. Okay. Gonna remove that, giving people room to stand. Okay, we need to stack. People are stacking for the Ring of Light, so they're inadvertently stacking for the actual mechanic as well. For the Wild Expulsion, I mean. There we go, that's perfect. You want it to go into the zones where that already exist. I'm moving it a bit so that there's room behind the boss. There we go. So now the DK that's standing behind here and beating the shit out of it is actually positioning the exact wrong way. Luckily, it didn't go off on him. It didn't target him. So it doesn't really matter. But if it had targeted him, that would have prevented us from going into that next area. So again, the DK is standing on the wrong side. There's two people standing on the wrong side now. But the DK absolutely does not know where to stand. Wild Expulsion, we can follow the person with the ring, stay in the ring, that's good. I don't have to move the boss because we cleared some zones with the ring, that's good. Okay, the other one I'll get. Pop my shit. That's a bit wrong because it's going to hit the wall. When it hits the wall, it actually bounces off the wall. Okay. It bounces off the wall and goes in a random direction, usually in the direction you want to travel into. So that's a bit of a pain in the ass, but it worked out. Wall explosion is on me or the whoever that was, the red paladin, I believe. I don't know if it ever goes on the tank. Okay. I think we have, yeah, we do have room here. Okay, I'll get rid of one of the spirits. Blood Visage. I'm not sure. This seems to be the last Blood Visage, so we can just focus the Blood Visage. And the off-tank boss thing is killing it, so we got it done quick. Okay, cool. I'm actually super curious to see if any of our stuff sold, so I'm going to take a peek at the auction house. No way, dude. All 7 of the Tol'vir hieroglyphics sold. I'm getting 30k gold in the mail in 36 minutes. Holy shit, how have I not done this before? Oh my god, it actually fucking worked, dude. I thought I was wasting my time because like surely nobody buys these for like almost 5k gold a pop. No, dude, they do. They fucking do. And then some, dude. That's amazing. We even sold a couple of mantid amber slivers, so that's amazing, dude. I'm about to get a whole bunch of gold. It actually sold. And of course the auction house took a massive cut, but it's still so much gold. That's amazing, dude. I started with 2k, 2.1k gold today, and now I'm at 34.9k gold today. I count that as an absolute win. We're gonna go craft an item because we have enough worm crests to do it. I went ahead and I splurged a bunch of gold on getting myself some upgrades, some much needed, long desired upgrades. The first thing I did was I crafted myself a ring, so instead of having 4, I now have 3 worm shadowfoam crests left. I crafted a ring. Now I have 2 rings. The reason I decided for a ring was because it was a guaranteed socket, and that way I don't have to worry about getting rings with sockets in them. I can just use these that are crafted. I also replaced all of my existing gems with haste versatility ones. I added 2 sockets to my neck piece and filled them all with gems, all of them haste versatility. And the biggest thing is I put Sophic Devotion rank 3 on my weapon. That's going to be pretty massive actually, because the uptime on that buff is pretty nice, and the giant chunk of agility actually increases our armor because your iron for armor scales with your agility. As far as future upgrades go, I'm going to recraft this ring to 437 once I have enough Worm's Shadowflame crests. I need 2 more. And then I think I'll save these 4 Splintered Sparks of Shadowflame to craft 2 Sparks, and I'll use 2 Sparks once I have Aspect's Shadowflame crests to craft myself a 447 weapon, because I think the weapon upgrade is going to be the biggest pain in the ass. Saving the Sparks to craft the weapon will also let me finally start upgrading my other champion gear, which really needs to be upgraded. All of it is sitting at 4 out of 8, the only exception being the weapon. And I think but these I got at 2 out of 5 hero, so. This Screaming Black Dragon scale is actually a massive eyesore. I really want to get rid of that thing, so I think I might go back to farming some more Vortex Pinnacle in the next episode. I think what I'll do in the next episode is do 5 Vortex Pinnacles, so I get a crack at that. I'll also get a bunch of Worms Shadowflame crests, use those for upgrades, also get a bunch of Flight Stones for upgrades, and then I'll do one dungeon that I haven't done this week, which could actually be this 16 Halls of Infusion. But that is something for future Vlad to worry about. Right now, I'm just considering taking a break from World of Warcraft for today because I've been playing the entire day. Mostly I've been farming gold. I really only did 1 dungeon, and now I'm ready to go to bed. That being said, I hope you enjoyed the episode. I hope you were as surprised as I was that you could actually make money with archaeology, and I'll catch you in the next episode.